The Committee of 100 for Economic Development, the Council for Better Louisiana, and the Public Affairs Research Council of Louisiana came together to create a list of policy recommendations focused on 4 key areas Louisiana voters should think about before heading to the polls. And those are tax policy, infrastructure, public safety, and education. As part of our special coverage for the Way Forward Election 2023, I sat down with Barry Irwin, president of Council for Better Louisiana, and Stephen Procopio, the PAR president. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us. I really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump into these questions. So the Reset Initiative can be a good resource to understand the issues we face in Louisiana. But can you explain exactly what the initiative is and also how it came to be?
Yeah, we started this actually 4 years ago. We thought it would be a good idea for our state if 3 organizations like ours that are all nonpartisan organizations, we don't endorse candidates or give money, but could come together and agree on a kind of set of issues that were really important to the state, that we could perhaps make a difference. So we started that 4 years ago, and we actually had some pretty good successes on some of those issues. A lot of it had to do with term limits and new people coming in the legislature, and we felt like the term limits were not as big this year, but it was still a good opportunity to talk to candidates and the public and try and focus attention on these issues. We chose 4 issues, education, fiscal policies, infrastructure, and public safety. And out of those, we kind of bore down quite a bit, and we came up with 55 recommendations out of there. So we're presenting these to candidates and to the public as ideas for trying to address these issues, which we feel like are all pretty foundational issues for our state.
So really providing context for the Louisiana voter.
Absolutely. There's a lot of discussion about everything. Politicians will talk about whatever they want to talk about, but we know that if we can address some of these issues, we can really move Louisiana off of 50th, and that's really what our goal is.
So let's start with one of the key issues that were listed, and it's talking about tax policy, spending policies. What do Louisiana voters need to know about them?
Well, I mean, this is crucial. No matter what you want to do, it's going to involve money. And it's going to be about collecting money in terms of revenue and taxation and spending it. You could be spending it on education, on roads, on public safety. So you have to get that correct. On the tax policy, the big thing we would push for is simplicity. It's not so much about burden, but it's making sure that you're not overly burdening one area, even if the overall revenue stays the same. And so we have a very complicated system. I don't care if you're talking about sales tax, income tax, property tax, it's all extremely complicated. And taxes are complicated everywhere, but in Louisiana, that's one thing we specialize in. So we need to simplify that system for everyone. And then on the budget side, really the big thing we're trying to push there is stability. We have some revenue going away that's going to create some challenges. And so we're really trying to create a stable budgeting system that's so that, the agencies like higher education, other places have the ability to plan in advance.
And like you were saying, I mean, the budget is really the key to everything, all of those issues. That's where it starts.
Exactly.
And I was looking through some of those issues as well. And for the tax and spending policy issues, it was talking about how this could benefit not only the local Louisianian, but it could also attract more businesses into the state.
It's like it's barely profitable now. So in order to make sure we look attractive and have a competitive tax system, it's going to require some work, but it's doable. And we've made some big changes in the last couple of years, so we know we can get that done.
All right, so just clearing it up for everybody to be able to understand and also just be more attractive to businesses and just more competitive.
Exactly.
So speaking of, attractiveness or our state's attractiveness, we're losing a lot of our talented people. I mean, it's called the brain drain. People that are college educated are leaving the state. And that also falls under the education realm of the key issues that were listed in the Reset Initiative. So can you tell me a little bit more about that key issue?
We kind of highlight a couple of things, I think, in our issue area. One is trying to do something in the high schools that really help our high school students while they're still in high school to get some kind of college credit or a credential while they are still in high school. Why do we want to do that? Because too many of our kids do graduate from high school and they don't make the next step to post-secondary. And we know without more than a high school diploma, it's very hard for folks to find good jobs and really for employers to find the people that they're looking for. So we're doing some things, but we need to do more to try and focus on kind of a post-secondary military experience. Now it can be college or technical college or skill training, whatever, but while they're in high school. And it seems kind of pie in the sky to say that, we're never going to do that. But the fact is we have some high schools in our state that are knocking it out of the park, and we need to do a better job of kind of supporting them, but also helping others to really do that and make that connection.
We got to talk about infrastructure. We can't move forward without talking about infrastructure. It's something that we use every single day, our roads, our bridges. So let's talk about that particular key issue. What are some of the infrastructural issues that Louisiana has?
For us in Louisiana, we've kind of got two problems. Well, there's really multiple ones, but two that are big ones that we kind of experience. One is the quality of the roads themselves. We have a backlog of $18 billion, 18B with a billion with a B, $1 billion just for maintenance and keeping up with the roads that we have and the bridges and all of that infrastructure. That's huge. The other part is that doesn't even count, all the mega projects that we know we want. A bridge in Baton Rouge, a bridge in Lake Charles, a bridge in Shreveport, I-49 north and south. Those are all hugely expensive projects. And what's happening in our state, and it's happening everywhere, of course, is that we rely on gasoline taxes. They are a diminishing return on revenue. They go down as we get more fuel efficient. And we need to have a long-term strategy of how we are going to be able to address some of this going forward. The good news is we have made some changes to wean us off of the gasoline tax just a little bit, not wean us off, but add some other revenue to it.
Now, it's no surprise that public safety made this list. If you look at what's going on nationwide, there's been an uptick in crime, and that increased really after the pandemic.
Right.
But whenever it comes to public safety, what are the recommendations on the Reset Initiative?
Our biggest concern is that people, because of the pandemic and sort of the social disruption it caused, people are all afraid, and I don't blame them. But our concern is that then you'll have reactions that are just trying to do something. So let's increase sentences. And that doesn't necessarily shown to be effective. You want to have effective changes. So we think there can be criminal justice reform, but let's not just start tacking on extra sentences to everyone or start putting people in jail. What are the things that are actually going to lower crime, lower recidivism? And that could be things like making sure you have better training. It could just be better systems that can track how long people are supposed to be in jail. I mean, we have a lot of fundamental work to do. Our systems are old, and I'm not necessarily talking about computer systems. Just in terms of calculating the amount of time people are supposed to be in jail is very complicated, and a lot of work has to get done there. But the big system, if we do things like barriers to adjusting of early childhood, that'll help bring down crimes in the first place. People are still going to commit crimes, so what can you do so you make sure they don't go back into jail after they come out, that they have the skills and are integrated back into society they need to make sure that doesn't happen?
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us.